What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was the Emperor of Elements, in the Avatar Part 4. Now, let's begin. Naruto's POV. Yui and Katara expressed their concerns regarding my frequent travels, prompting me to acknowledge my oversight and prioritize spending more time with them. Ultimately, they will soon transition into proficient waterbenders. Their path to mastery is a pursuit they must undertake independently. Certainly, I will continue to assist them. However, once they showcase their capabilities, they will be regarded as nearly adults, where strength is prioritized over age. Let us proceed with one final round today and conclude our session, I remarked with a slight smile, observing the fatigued participants. Are you looking to enhance the efficiency of your training? It's time to commit fully. I can observe that you may have become a bit too comfortable in my absence. A series of vehement objections was my response. That level of teamwork is impressive. If only we could achieve that same coordination during our sparring sessions. It seems I've discovered the key to motivating you, I reflected, shaking my head. They consistently succumb to it. I recently had a conversation with Master Paku. He expressed confidence in his student, suggesting that she will soon match his skill level. It seems likely that she will become the first female waterbending master, I remarked, feigning sadness, observing the girl's eyes illuminate with determination. What? Only one of us can become the first. Their thoughts were clearly conveyed without the need for further explanation. What are you waiting for? Proceed with the attack, I clapped, swiftly tilting my head back to evade the ice needles that were hurtling toward me. My preferred move is becoming increasingly favored among benders, and these young ladies are no exception. While one maintained a continuous onslaught, the other focused on accumulating Kai for a different purpose. It appears they are developing a fog technique, an innovative approach. Typically, they favor direct confrontations. At times, their combat technique evokes the essence of firebenders. With the onset of the fog, new silhouettes became visible. Had I been a typical waterbender, the ice decoys masquerading as individuals could have easily deceived me. However, I will allow them to proceed for the time being. Let us observe the results of their efforts. Conflicts seldom unfold as anticipated, thus I will introduce an element of unpredictability. Upon creating my own ice clones and skillfully manipulating them, I directed them toward the girls while strategically stepping back. Shortly thereafter, Katara's perplexed expression emerged from my previous position, as she intended to launch an attack from behind after maneuvering across the frigid surface. I can assure you that I did not instruct them in that matter. Ah, who do we have here? I inquired, encasing her in ice. You nearly succeeded. Please refrain from pouting, or I may have to tighten it, I remarked, playfully flicking Katara's nose. Recently, they have expressed a desire for independence from both me and their parents, asserting that they have outgrown the need for affection. However, their expressions reveal their genuine feelings, contrasting sharply with their words. In the interim, my clones were systematically eliminated. However, they fulfilled their intended role by providing me with valuable time. I apply a slightly greater degree of influence with the girls, encouraging them to surpass their limits consistently. Engaging with a consistently formidable opponent may not be enjoyable. There are moments when it is acceptable, but it should not be a frequent occurrence. Yui endured for an additional 2 minutes amidst my continuous application of waterbending techniques. An improved outcome. Previously, she was unable to defend herself. On this occasion, she was able to mount a counterattack from time to time. You put in a great effort. There are a few errors, but we will discuss them later. Who is interested in riding the penguin otters today? I inquired of the enthusiastic girls, who appeared to have regained their energy. Indeed, I find amusement in engaging with these amusing beings, who would readily trade their souls for a fish. I have recently come to realize that our palace features an open balcony that offers a breathtaking view of the city. This location has become my preferred place to enjoy quality time with Kaya, particularly accompanied by hot tea and a cozy blanket. Shizuka, is that her name? Kaya inquired, contemplating the name thoughtfully. Are you genuinely committed to her? Indeed, she is wonderful. I have no doubt that you will form a friendship, I responded, intertwining my fingers with hers. Once the girls and Sokka have matured a bit further, I will arrange for all of you to visit Kyoshi Island. I find myself increasingly concerned, Kaya remarked thoughtfully. First me, now Shizuka. Both of us are older than you and already have children. That's not very typical, you know? She turned to me with a concerned expression. Pardon? I was unclear on that. You ought to observe your expression at this moment, Kaya exclaimed with laughter. Please hold on for a moment while I regain my composure, she said, breathing heavily. Initially, you appeared composed and earnest, I remarked, shaking my head at her behavior. I was influenced by someone dear to me, she stated, gracefully taking a seat on my lap. And I appreciate it, she whispered close to my neck, gently sliding her warm hands beneath my clothing. Every woman is entitled to happiness, and I trust that you will provide it for us. Certainly, I responded, gently kissing her forehead and closing my eyes. Kaya possesses a moderate level of skill in waterbending and is committed to her improvement, fully aware of the potential dangers present in the outside world. While the girls enjoy quickly mastering new techniques for enjoyment, Kaya stands out with her attention to detail, refining each move to meet her standards. Her genuine vocation, however, lies in the realm of healing. She has outperformed the majority of her peers in this area, despite beginning her training at a later stage. Effective healing necessitates not only fundamental water control but also advanced manipulation of Kai. She acknowledged experiencing a sensation akin to Kai during her childhood and even achieved some success with it. During the outbreak of a virus in the Southern Water Tribe, her recovery was notably quicker than that of her peers. She attributed this to her engagement with what she referred to as strange things on her body, which were likely energy channels that she utilized to enhance her health. Her progress in healing enhanced her self-esteem, which had declined due to feelings of inadequacy in relation to my talent. Initially, I overlooked this, confusing her rigorous training with an ambition for increased power. We frequently engage in discussions to exchange our thoughts, aspirations, and concerns. As a result of these candid discussions, Kaya has learned to avoid overexerting herself. Opportunities for us to convene at the same table are infrequent. Arnik maintains a non-traditional work schedule, despite his office being located in the same building, albeit at the opposite end of the wing. Jung currently oversees an entire department within the healing halls, responsible for managing all documentation related to new students. I frequently remain at the training grounds after hours, requesting that staff deliver meals to me on site. It is particularly enjoyable to have dinner together, exchanging updates and demonstrating new techniques. Naruto, I have compiled a comprehensive list of families interested in having you as their son-in-law, Arnuk stated, seemingly oblivious to the pointed looks from the women at the table or choosing to ignore them altogether. I have selected the most qualified candidates for your consideration, he stated. Kaya, seated next to me, firmly grasped my hand beneath the table. Please visit my office after dinner, and we will discuss the matter further. You are aware of how significantly this could enhance your standing, he continued, but was interrupted before he could finish. Absolutely not. It is essential for Naruto to discover his own path to love. Yui, Katara, Kaya, and Jun asserted together, leaving Arnik taken aback as he finally recognized the charged atmosphere around them. There are several respectable young ladies, he attempted once more, but was interrupted. Cease this behavior, Arnuk. The voices remained calm, yet the atmosphere in the room felt noticeably colder. I too experienced a sense of chill. I was merely making a suggestion, Arnuk stated with a forced chuckle. Certainly, my son is a remarkable individual among waterbenders. He will select a suitable partner on his own, he thoughtfully elaborated. That was a narrow escape, Arnik. Certain individuals tend to overlook valuable lessons from the past with undue haste. It is clear to everyone who holds the reins in this family, wouldn't you agree, Jun? As Gran once shared with me, my mother hailed from a typical fishing family but was always a determined individual who was unafraid to challenge conventions. Until recently, the divide between the general populace and benders was significantly broader, making it nearly impossible for a skilled yet unconnected waterbender to ascend. Through her dedication and intelligence, she successfully captured the attention of a young Arnik, who was utterly captivated. He defied his father's intentions for her sake. Even my strict grandfather found her impressive. All the reforms prior to my birth were a result of her efforts. Although she was not a member of the council, she facilitated improvements in the lives of ordinary citizens, fully aware of their challenges. The older individuals have only recently come to understand the strategic manner in which she conducted herself, subtly providing suggestions, hosting tea gatherings for the spouses of esteemed waterbenders, and thoughtfully introducing various subjects into conversation. A local Olena Tyrell indeed. Referring to her as the power behind the throne may not be entirely accurate. Arnik recognized her strategies and quietly endorsed them, acknowledging their advantages. Even now, this fox masquerading as my father, pretending to be foolish, was assessing the situation. Jun and Arnuk complement each other, two skilled individuals who have connected. And what about Yui? Before you know it, Arnuk paused, clearly affected by my unexpected glare. Yui will determine her own course. Indeed, poor Arnuk is quite mistreated, Jun expressed, although I am confident that my actions did not trouble him. A discussion regarding my acquisition of that technique is certainly forthcoming. Considering my travels, he already has an understanding that the world is not solely characterized by positivity and camaraderie. The dinner was quite engaging. Arnuk's performance is truly Oscar-worthy. I recognize that I have significant progress to make in order to reach his level of expertise. My mother excels in matters of affection. She observed Kaya's response, indicating that an engaging discussion is forthcoming. Now I recall the reasons I have both affection and aversion for family dinners. They serve as a means for my parents to learn everything about me, while also providing me the opportunity to experience the dynamics of family life. There was also some confidential information available. The researchers cultivated edible seaweed that thrives beyond its natural habitat. The initial samples have been prepared. We now await their growth, allowing us to alleviate concerns regarding this important resource. Parents take great pride in their children's accomplishments. Jun discreetly revealed the origin of the idea and now confidently shares her son's successes with her friends. That is satisfactory. I will be visiting them next week. Acquiring additional knowledge is always beneficial. Subsequently, I will consider the development of plants and trees that do not require light. Establishing greenhouses beneath the ice where soil is present could enhance the diversity of our population's diet. Given that there are numerous available individuals who can be assigned to the creation and maintenance of these greenhouses. Constructing an ice platform that is attached to the wall and can be easily adjusted for cargo transport is achievable by even a basic waterbender. What items are scheduled for discussion this month? Refine your skills in the archery techniques of the Yuyan archers, explore methods for extracting water from the air, and revisit the fundamentals of earth and firebending techniques, with particular emphasis on lava and lightning. Naruto's Pav. A modest women's monastery situated near the northwestern coast of the Earth Kingdom. Ah, right there, just a bit to the left. This is an unprecedented experience, I expressed with satisfaction as the adept hands of a professional provided exceptional care to my back. I expressed my feelings openly, which led to my comments being voiced aloud, resulting in the other nuns blushing and giggling. What brings you here, sir? Are you attempting to charm my young ladies? Inquired the head abbess of the small monastery with a commanding tone. I am simply acknowledging the exceptional skills of your apprentice, abbess, I responded, with a positive demeanor. May I inquire why you have kept such a valuable service under wraps? I have been visiting for spirits for a year and a half, and it is only today that you have presented me with the option of a massage, I remarked, feeling somewhat slighted that I had not been offered this opportunity earlier. No Thai or Qigong massage can match this experience. Only the most deserving customers receive this treatment. Be proud, just a traveling Earth Kingdom earthbender named Roku, she remarked with a hint of sarcasm, highlighting the most implausible aspect, causing my ears to flush with embarrassment. I find it challenging to generate names. In a few months, one may find it challenging to grasp the way of life of the inhabitants of this region, their peculiarities, and the subtle nuances that are widely recognized yet seldom discussed. Certainly, these subtle distinctions revealed my status as an outsider, yet the abbess chose not to pursue the matter further. As long as I am adhering to the guidelines and fulfilling my financial obligations, everything is acceptable. I discovered this location unexpectedly while navigating through the Earth Kingdom. The primary source of revenue for this neutral monastery is the sale of perfumes and ointments, which are highly sought after in the surrounding provinces. The women in my circle are consistently impressed by the fragrances crafted here, prompting me to return frequently for new scents. The provinces function similarly to states within a larger framework. During the formative period of the unified Earth Kingdom, each province was governed by its own ruler, adhered to its own laws, and maintained its own order. Centuries have elapsed, yet the continent continues to experience instability. Conflicts among sovereigns were a frequent occurrence. This culminated in the ascendance of Ba Sing Se, whose leaders systematically and persistently extended their dominion over all neighboring territories. Omashu maintains a degree of autonomy, possessing its own ruler, while ultimately remaining under the authority of the Earth King in Ba Sing Se. For the past 2 years, I have been navigating the skies above the Earth Kingdom, yet I have only had the opportunity to explore approximately 30% of its territory. I took my time, occasionally remaining in one location for more than a week. To ensure a tranquil journey, I developed a new persona, Roku, characterized by black hair styled in a ponytail and strikingly bright blue eyes. Locating the dye proved to be straightforward, and its durability extends for approximately 2 weeks, sufficient for exploring various villages and towns. It was here that I had the opportunity to become acquainted with the currencies of various nations. Financial matters had not been a priority until this point, or perhaps I simply had not focused on them closely. The Northern Water Tribe utilizes a distinct currency system, characterized by round coins that are painted blue and feature a circular hole in the center, varying in denomination. Since the onset of the conflict, their usage has diminished significantly. The North Pole has shifted towards a bartering system. Certain provinces within the Earth Kingdom continue to accept our currency. However, I have reservations about the sustainability of this practice. In the Earth Kingdom, the currency features a round design with a square hole at its center, reflecting the national emblem. Gold, silver, and copper coins vary solely in their value. Among affluent individuals, small gold ingots are prevalent. In the colonies of the Fire Nation located within the Earth Kingdom, there is an acceptance of both Earth and Fire Nation currency. The objects appear as angular metal plates, each with distinct values and significant variations in shape, weight, and size. All represent the national symbol, flames. I am uncertain whether the air nomads produced their own coins. However, it is noted that they engaged in trade with the Earth Kingdom utilizing its currency. Understood. I will not intrude any longer. I simply wished to express my gratitude. You are aware of the reason, the abbess stated before departing. The situation with the bandits is becoming increasingly problematic, as they are taking the remaining funds from a struggling monastery, she remarked softly as she departed. What are the alternative methods for obtaining local funding? By acquiring it from individuals of that nature, they will find themselves without need of it in the future. These gangs are present in every province. Governors in this region prioritize the interests of their own settlements. The addition or loss of a single village is of little consequence to them. Annually, there is a significant enforcement action. However, it typically ensnares only the least experienced and youngest individuals, those lacking the necessary connections to the ruler's inner circle who might alert them to the impending operation. Frequently, their camps housed village women facing dire circumstances. On occasion, bandits would abduct affluent merchants or local nobility, seeking ransoms in return. With each rescue, narratives about me circulated. Roku, the bandit's bane. The recognition was enjoyable initially, but it brought certain challenges. Individuals in positions of authority commenced efforts to engage my services, through either persuasion or intimidation. An effective earthbender can be invaluable, however, they often struggle with accepting refusal. While some exhibit a level of reasonableness, many in positions of power tend to come from prestigious backgrounds and possess significant financial resources. I needed to emphasize that an unrestrained bender poses significant health risks, potentially even fatal consequences. There were also individuals exhibiting psychopathic traits with unusual preferences. Their duration was brief. Bloodbending does not leave a mark. Removing them felt inherently right, as though I had contributed to a cleaner and more vibrant world. There is no definitive right or wrong. The world is inhabited by genuine individuals rather than deceptive entities. These experiences gradually strengthened my resolve, while also aligning my perspective with that of the inhabitants of this world. Each solstice, I departed from the human realm to engage in hunting within the spirit world. There were instances when I did not achieve the desired outcome, occasionally coming back without any results. The desert presents significant challenges, making survival difficult for those who are not adequately prepared. In the spirit world, the dangers are heightened, even for a formidable three-element bender. Endless thirst, absence of water sources, sweltering days and frigid nights, coupled with persistent assaults from spirits that thrive in the desert environment. The experience was challenging. Waterbending served solely for hydration. Firebending had minimal impact on the spirits, and earthbending was also constrained. I exerted my utmost effort, anticipating a prompt departure from this area. Unfortunately, I encountered only sand, scorpion, lizard, and spider spirits. The acquaintances of Spider-Man developed an affinity for me, making visits every 3 hours. I was not inclined to return to the human world, not due to any psychological concerns, but rather because I had a valid reason to remain. It is important to note that exiting the spirit world and re-entering at a different location is not permitted. I attempted this once and unfortunately wasted a visit. All elements within the desert were imbued with sand energy, which I needed to harness to its maximum potential. Achieving proficiency in fundamental sandbending techniques was essential. The more quickly I acquired knowledge, the sooner I would be able to depart. Overcoming challenges independently proved to be difficult, yet the persistent assaults from the sand spirits provided valuable insights on how to navigate the situation. I completed my work merely 2 hours prior to the conclusion of the solstice. Leaving the spirit world early on that occasion marked my second setback of the year, resulting in no benefits gained. Once again, fortune has not favored me for the third time, though perspective may vary on this matter. I found myself in a landscape reminiscent of a Salvador Dali painting, characterized by its surreal qualities. Unrecognizable fragments of objects, terrain appearing to be fused, trees flourishing and perishing within moments. I found it challenging to comprehend the situation, yet my efforts were unsuccessful. I was determined not to depart without resolution, so I sought the origin of this disorder. After exhausting all detection methods, I conceded defeat, and that was when I noticed it. The more I endeavored to locate them, the more the overall picture eluded me. It was only after I achieved a state of calm that I became aware of small spherical entities moving gracefully around me, whether flying, swimming, or teleporting. Some appeared to distort the very fabric of space, while others, closer in proximity, rejuvenated or revitalized their original state. Essences of time and space. All of them were at a higher level. I considered leaving, but once I calmed down, I recognized that none of them posed a threat to me. Even when they passed through me, there was no impact. There must be a rationale behind my invulnerability. I do not subscribe to the notion of luck. There is something more at play. Maintaining focus on them proved challenging. The moment I concentrated, they seemed to disappear from my perception. I was so focused on the spirits that I almost overlooked the conclusion of the solstice. However, I did comprehend the situation at hand. Half of the spirits exhibited various dark shades, whereas the other half were characterized by a pure white hue. Every light spirit possessed a corresponding dark counterpart. The surreal landscape was shaped by their ongoing conflict. One faction aimed to reinstate the natural order of time and space, whereas the opposing faction sought to immerse everything in disorder. They showed a lack of concern for my well-being. I am now aware that such spirits exist, and this is certainly worth noting. My fourth visit in 2 years was unremarkable. There were no risks, but also no progress. On this occasion, I found myself surrounded by vibrant spirits, assembled in astonishing quantities over vast distances. It seemed as though all serene presences were present. Their significant presence was attributed to the influence of 2 ancient spirits residing at the center, atop a mountain peak concealed by clouds. In discussions with inquisitive entities, I discovered that a duo of phoenixes, one wielding fire, the other ice, had resided in that location for millennia. An ensemble of timeless entities. Their presence had permeated the environment to such an extent that even solitary ancient dark spirits were hesitant to approach, much less those of higher or mid-level status. Upon my arrival, I came to realize why I felt vulnerable. They assessed me, determined I posed no threat, and allowed me to remain undisturbed. The venue was exceptional. Various regions highlighted the splendor of our planet: lush tropical forests, captivating glaciers, and pristine waters. Entities of the same element congregated in clusters, altering sections of the territory to align with their elemental characteristics. Spirits and humans possess fundamentally different ways of thinking. Mid and low-level spirits found this environment to be quite agreeable. However, it may lack engagement for humans and higher-level spirits. A limited number of advanced spirits were present, as attaining that level often leads to the understanding that one should not merely conform to the prevailing currents. This location resembles an introductory village in a game, secure, allowing for personal development before pursuing greater challenges. At this point, I had thoroughly mastered the techniques of the Yuyan archers, having discovered their primary base situated in the northwest of the Earth Kingdom at Pohai Fortress. Colonel Shinyu graciously permitted me to examine the records of their classified training at no cost. However, it would have been prudent for him to ensure they were stored in a more secure location. In the animated series, Zuko, under the guise of the Blue Spirit, successfully infiltrated without detection. I find myself contemplating whether he possessed exceptional ninja skills or if the archers had become complacent over time. The fortress was equipped with 3 imposing walls and strategically placed guard towers, consistently staffed by archers. They were capable of detecting even the tiniest insect, much less a mouse. All aspects were carefully organized, with one exception that left me perplexed: their total failure to identify underground infiltration, even though their primary adversaries were earthbenders. Accessing the central pagoda required merely 15 minutes. However, locating the necessary records, secured within an iron safe, proved to be more time-consuming. I am eager to observe Colonel Shinyu's response to the recent breach in that safe. What are the specific techniques involved? Tree running lacked excitement for me, given my proficiency in more advanced movement techniques. However, leaping between trees with my hands bound behind my back, reminiscent of a shinobi, proved to be an enjoyable challenge. This technique was utilized by Edo-era messengers, who frequently kept their weapons secured under their arms for expedited access. Alternatively, it may have enhanced the animation's dynamism and engagement. There are nuances that Western perspectives may not fully grasp regarding Eastern concepts. A more effective technique was eagle vision, which significantly improves sight, enabling an archer to identify a target from 800 meters away. While it may not match the exceptional clarity of a true eagle's vision, it certainly suffices. Their bows are constructed from materials that are not found on Earth, utilizing bone and wood, and are further enhanced through continuous exposure to Kai. This enhances the velocity and distance of their arrows. However, accuracy significantly declines beyond 100 meters. After an extended period of searching, I was unable to locate the fortress, until, quite unexpectedly, the Dragon Hawks of the Fire Nation provided their assistance. The birds utilized for long-distance messaging exhibit calm temperaments and advanced intelligence, facilitating efficient and rapid training. Their distinctive capability lies in conveying messages directly to the intended recipient's location, regardless of prior familiarity, similar to the messenger hawks utilized within the Fire Nation's framework. The Fire Nation employs these efficient messengers extensively, leading to the construction of numerous communication towers across the ocean. The primary responsibility involves coordinating the fleet of the Fire Navy, including the transmission and reception of messages. The towers contain a range of documents, allowing for easy access to the information required. Nevertheless, the location of the fortress I identified proved to be unhelpful ultimately. During my visit to the tower, a new letter was being meticulously prepared for the specific location I required. The only option remaining was to secure a ride on the tail of a dragon hawk. Ultimately, these techniques provided significant advantages to my tribe. From the total population of the Northern Water Tribe, we successfully assembled a single squad of archers proficient in these techniques, with each archer capable of neutralizing multiple benders from a distance. My father is extremely pleased with this acquisition. The competition among the Army's senior officials to mentor these future snipers was intense. A minor caution regarding lemons has been issued for your awareness. In the 10th month of the 91st year following the Air Nomad Genocide, Northern Water Tribe, Capital, Palace, Kya's room, experiencing a morning characterized by good health, vitality, and the presence of a beloved partner is truly an ideal way to start the day. The anticipated day had arrived. I considered expressing something inappropriate across the palace, but I doubt it would be well received by others. There remained an hour and a half before individuals began to circulate within the palace, ample opportunity for some private enjoyment. I initiated a soft kiss on her shoulders and neck, softly articulating affectionate words into her ear. Within a minute, Kya was merely feigning sleep, relishing my affectionate kisses and tender words. As I slid my hand beneath her robe, I began to gently massage her breast, occasionally focusing on her already hardened nipples. With such attention, Kya began to express her pleasure softly, revealing her feelings. She greeted me with a "good morning," and before I could reply, she drew me into a prolonged, affectionate kiss, occasionally expressing her pleasure. My fingers concentrated on her nipples, enhancing their sensitivity through a flow of energy. Her hands were actively engaged, exploring my body until her palm encountered my arousal. She ended the kiss. "Is this what I believe it to be?" inquired a flushed Kya, as she took my member in her hands and began to stroke it gently. "Now I can provide you with pleasure as well," she continued, surprisingly shy, as she slowly approached my feet. "I have no objections. I would be quite pleased," I stated, gently patting her head. "Please inform me if there are any issues. I am new to this process," Kya continued. "Typically, boys do not encounter any difficulties during their initial experience, so there is no need for concern," she remarked supportively, presuming this was my first encounter as well. I will refrain from correcting her, it certainly is. At this moment, she appears innocently charming, reminiscent of having captivated a nun. She is observing my anatomy with notable interest. Has she not encountered one previously? It is possible that the activities are conducted discreetly or in a private setting. I have not inquired previously. With a measured approach, she began to explore with confidence, responding to my approval as she engaged further. With careful direction, I ensured complete engagement. Kya quickly adapted to meeting my expectations, finding the right rhythm. For 5 minutes, the only sounds that filled the air were suggestive slurping noises, which heightened my excitement, and seemingly hers as well, as her body began to produce additional lubrication. I am nearing completion, I murmured, holding her hair and controlling the rhythm, occasionally brushing against her throat. After a brief moment, my essence was released into Kya's receptive mouth, which she willingly accepted. The initial experience often generates significant outcomes. I began to have concerns regarding the volume of fluid being released. Kya gasped once she had consumed it all. Her appearance evoked a strong instinctual response within me. Disheveled hair and subtle traces of intimacy. It was akin to a signal that stirred my heightened interest. I proceeded to assist her by gently adjusting her clothing, ensuring her comfort in the situation. Following several hours of intense engagement, on that day, Kya's appearance clearly indicated to the adults what had transpired. At least the other women were aware, guiding her away with flushed cheeks, presumably eager to learn the details. Fortunately, Kya understands the importance of discretion. It is premature to disclose our relationship to the public. My list of prospective partners is continually expanding. She declined my offer to use Kai for her healing. There are certain complexities that remain beyond my comprehension. I ensured that there was no accidental damage, and I confirmed that everything was in order. That evening, June reached out to me for a discussion. It was quite daunting. I had never observed her in such a serious demeanor. The discussion began with an emphasis on accountability for individual actions and then transitioned smoothly to the topics of fatherhood and parenting. It was only at the conclusion that she inquired directly about Kya and myself. Throughout the entire duration, she was closely monitoring my responses to these subjects. The situation served as an evaluation of the sincerity of my intentions. It appears that she wishes to communicate with Kya as well, but she has no desire to disrupt the bond shared between two individuals in love. Her subsequent inquiry pertained to the topic of grandchildren. Determining what Kya and I had been engaged in was not challenging for her. However, in this moment, June appeared more content. In her dreams, she envisions herself babysitting young Narutos. It is advisable to approach this matter with caution, as it entails significant responsibility. Children ought to be raised in a stable family environment, rather than in circumstances where their father is absent and unaccounted for. She directed a disapproving look at me. The stone was appropriately placed in my garden. Recently, I have been traveling extensively throughout the Earth Kingdom. I concur, it's premature, I acknowledged with a nod. To ensure reliability, I could provide her with a specialized drink that prevents unwanted pregnancy. However, this option is not advisable for individuals who may wish to have children in the future. Therefore, enhance your reaction time. And please ensure her well-being. She playfully gestured with a fist at the end. It was enjoyable observing your discreet relationship. It is my belief that only someone completely unaware would fail to notice. Fortunately, I personally selected the staff. Everyone is aware but will remain discreet. Her playful remark halted me at the door. I believed that all matters had remained confidential and undetected. I have arranged an additional room for you, designed with soundproof walls, June informed me as I walked away. It can be challenging to acknowledge that what you believed to be private actions were, in fact, apparent to numerous observers. Although we did not conceal our relationship significantly, it is often more convenient to provide justifications. It is advisable to recognize that couples in love often reveal their feelings. This is a well-established truth. It appears to be yet another justification. I need to explore the potential of influencing the reproductive system through Kai programming. I am now able to concentrate on this matter. The overall system is largely established, and the activation of the first chakra has expedited processes throughout my body. I should also remember to ask Kya to inquire with her mother about the location of the prepared room. From that day forward, intimacy became a consistent aspect of our relationship, and Kaya appeared to become increasingly beautiful and appealing. We have now overcome our apprehensions regarding the prospect of a new life. having successfully attained the intended outcome through the manipulation of Kai. An unexpected development was the enhancement of Kaya's energy quality during our intimate moments, both in terms of life energy and bending. The interaction of our energies was notably positive, and as a result of the significant differences in our characteristics, Kaya derived greater advantages. She had already observed the outcomes in practice. We have observed a more refined application of waterbending and enhanced control over water. These are merely the effects identified to date, and there may be additional outcomes yet to be uncovered. Initially, it was challenging to maintain our spiritual connection with Yui, particularly during instances of heightened emotions when my focus was diverted. It is probable that something resonated with her, although she has not yet determined the reason for my feelings. At times, it remains challenging to restrict the channel during especially personal moments. What can I express? Kaya consistently impresses me with her innovative creativity. During this period, I engaged in rigorous training to activate the water chakra, the second in the sequence. This will enhance my immune system to an unprecedented level. Hazards, pathogens, illnesses, they will all be avoided by me. This will be beneficial, particularly given that I frequently find myself sleeping in less than ideal conditions. While Kai is certainly beneficial, the local flora is abundant with highly toxic plants that could potentially lead to severe consequences. It is important to acknowledge the role of insects, as they are vectors for numerous diseases that can be lethal to humans. The current situation has improved, as individuals have developed the requisite antibodies. However, a review of the global population reveals that diseases once caused significant mortality rates. Ultimately, diseases related to Kai tend to be more lethal. Upon examining the historical memory of my previous world, it is evident that no conflict has resulted in as significant a loss of life as the various diseases that have emerged. The initial chakra experience was less than favorable, leading to my reluctance in pursuing further training. However, the advantages are substantial, and I am already mentally prepared for the potential challenges ahead. Makapu village is situated in the northwest region of the Earth Kingdom, at the base of the dormant Makapu volcano. This location is memorable due to Aunt Wu and her distinctive assistant, Meng, who often accompanied Aang. During my travels, I came across an information kiosk where messages about festivals and other announcements for the province's citizens are occasionally put. Kiosks like these can be found all around the Earth Kingdom. I hadn't paid much attention to them before because they were usually in isolated regions and the information appeared to be out of date. However, the announcements are timely at least 50% of the time. That's where I spotted an advertisement for fortune teller Wu, who lives in Makapu village and welcomes anyone who wishes to hear their fortune. As I recall, her predictions were frequently correct. Maybe it's a genuine gift, who knows? But I couldn't turn down such entertainment. The settlement appeared incredibly attractive, as if I had stumbled into a super-secret sect to acquire mysterious teachings. They respect her here, I added, pointing to the opulent house directly in the town center where the lady I sought lived. The door opened less than 30 seconds after I knocked. She now has a completely new assistant. Meng is probably still crawling beneath the table somewhere. "Are you here to see Aunt Wu?" inquired a young lady of 17, who kept staring at my face. Bravo to her for her self-control. I've seen myself in the mirror numerous times, and believe me, just a few can resist. And, as you can undoubtedly predict, my narcissism is just increasing. "No, I'm here for you," I said, coming closer to her, eliciting an immediate response. "Seems I went too far," I said as I watched the girl run away. Teasing girls like that is pure pleasure for me, and it has become a habit. A minute later, the mistress of the mansion appeared. She appeared younger than her counterpart in the series, but it was 7 years before their encounter. So this is the handsome guy she talked about. I'd take him for myself if I were younger," she smirked, running her eyes over my body and beckoning me with her finger. "Come on, let me tell your fate." "Good day, I guess," I responded, with mixed emotions. I had only felt this exposed once before, when Xi Tong scanned me. But, although it was on an energetic level, I was just ogled, as guys frequently do with gorgeous girls. "Damn, I've betrayed my fellow comrades, pardon me. What would you like to know?" she inquired quietly, preparing for the prediction. Maybe, my fate," I asked half-heartedly. I had not given it much attention, and I do not believe in such things. People often come to me out of curiosity, but once their predictions come true, they return, she said sadly. She understands how to establish the tone. Well, 90% of the time, for sure, she said in a regular voice, entirely dispelling the mystery. Do you at least have money? First-time clients get a discount. 1 silver coin for 1 reading, she asked, putting out her outstretched palm. So much for a fortune teller. We all want the same thing, I murmured to myself as I handed over the necessary sum. Don't make that face. I need to eat too. And now my relatives have dropped off their niece, little Meng, who needs constant supervision. I'm not great with kids. There's a separate wet nurse, nanny, clothes, toys. Now I remember why I never had kids of my own, she told me. Now listen carefully. I'm only a conduit for fate. The most significant predictions happen beyond my control, she said with seriousness. My faith is gradually restoring itself. Take the bone and throw it into the fire, she told me. I hope they aren't human bones. Yuck. After putting the bone into the flames, I had to shove the woman away forcefully. The flames, which had been burning calmly, suddenly spread several meters and consumed the bone. A new world order is coming. The cycle will be broken. The one who was once a guest will become the master, and Wu began speaking in an unfamiliar voice, not realizing she was lying on the floor in a partially burnt dress. Honestly, the prediction is pointless. With my abilities, authority will come to me on its own. But what cycle? Perhaps the avatar cycle. Maybe someday I'll have the strength to influence it, but it seems unlikely. I'm currently unable to deal with higher spirits. But I adore being the master. Okay. Nothing nasty was said, I suppose. What happened? Said a puzzled Aunt Wu, who had just awoke. Seems some prankster coated that bone with something flammable, and it exploded when it touched the fire. I was wondering why it was so shiny. You scoundrels, just try to get caught, I said with a scream. You've ruined my mood. I'll come back later. Bye-bye, I muttered, already halfway out the door, before she realized the ridiculousness of my words. Note to self. Do not return to Makapu village's fortune teller. But on my way back, I went by the apparently sleeping volcano, which isn't actually sleeping, it's just faking. Why do I have a nice heart? I spent another 2 hours digging a ditch alongside the settlement. The locals rely completely on fortune reading, so no one will believe in an active volcano. But there are children present, and children are excellent. Naruto is also good, so everything is in its proper place. Mr. Roku, I'm so glad I could meet you, exclaimed a joyful, plump man who did not resemble the town's ruler at all. He walks without a guard, always polite and smiling, and the residents adore him. Even now, despite my imposing image, people look at me carefully, ready to defend their mayor if necessary. You may not know this, but 6 months ago, you helped my son return home alive. They were attacked by a band of Fire Nation rhinos demanding all the goods our town needed. He paused to wipe the sweat from his brow. Oh, I've been rambling. Anyway, please accept my sincere gratitude, he bowed low to me, forcing me to dismount my ostrich horse in order to hoist the man. I don't appreciate getting praised for these things. Do you possess the power? Is there anyone in need? Do you have time? Why not help? Treat others as you would like to be treated, and remember that moral monsters exist. Don't lower yourself to their level. Your son already thanked me for the help, and those fabrics pleased my mother, I replied with a smile, touching his shoulder. People like him make you want to grin. Tomorrow is the annual festival in honor of our benefactor, Tianhai. Please be my honored guest. You won't be disappointed. He continued encouraging me to remain. I accepted because I'm not in a hurry and I'm interested in learning more about this festival. We then went to his home, where his family received me pleasantly. I had previously met his son, the ruler's mother, and a small toothless girl. Each of them thanked me, leaving me wondering where to look. I'm used to detecting selfish motivations in expressions of gratitude. Son, take care of Mr. Roku's ostrich horse, the mayor asked, noting the tired expression on my mount's face. Just call me Roku, I repeated for what seemed like the umpteenth time. How can I? My benefactor is a capital letter person. This speech makes me feel even more uncomfortable. Why do I need a riding animal? There's a certain romance to traveling on animals. Much as how modern kids don't appreciate the ambiance of train rides, sigh. It causes tears to my eyes just thinking of legs extending out into the aisle, their aroma rivaling new French perfume collections. When I'm in a hurry, I utilize a waterbending carpet. Otherwise, I prefer to ride animals. I've previously tried the low-cost option. robust and durable ostrich horses, who have served the Earth Kingdom for ages in both civilian and military capacities. Their only major disadvantage is their nervousness. If you don't grip the reins tightly and a rooster crows nearby, your steed will bolt before you blink. A more opulent choice is the hound eel. Hound eel is around 2.5 meters tall at the shoulder and at least 10 meters long, making it ideal for extended treks. As Piandao famously stated, no one runs on land or swims in water faster than a hound eel. This creature is a cross between a hound dog and a normal eel. As a form of transportation, it can transport multiple people on its back. However, teaching a hound eel is so tough that domesticated specimens are relatively uncommon. You can't even get such a beauty for a chest of gold. They're only handed to those with high status. Their attitude is unique. Even trained ones attempt to throw off their riders. I once received one as a present from a grateful father for saving his daughter. I eventually had to return it because such a status symbol attracts too much attention, which I already have plenty of. The residents of this town turned out to be descendants of Tianhai's former inhabitants. At the time, it was the world's most important and rich metropolis, with an unseen patron, a humanoid spirit named Lady Tianhai. The ghost manifested as a towering and lovely woman. Back in the Rava era, when spirits walked the world freely, Lady Tianhai encountered another ghost near the location of the future city, General Old Iron, who was the same size as her. Of course, the name is unremarkable, worse than the pompous and unnecessarily long titles of techniques in the Shanzhu literature. They eventually fell in love and decided to remain in the human realm. The male spirit safeguarded his love from all perils, which he accomplished admirably thanks to his ability to manipulate iron. Their bliss did not last long. A tribe of people eventually settled on their land. The general was well aware of how ungrateful and deceptive humans can be. To protect his beloved from their corrupting influence, he planned to demolish the community, but Tianhai would not let him. She noticed not only the evil in people, but also the good, which there was plenty of. In the end, the general abandoned his companion, who could not comprehend his motivations, and continued to assist the tribe. Over millennia, the little settlement expanded into a big city. Tianhai transformed into a human once a year to visit the people she had grown to love. Then she met the local king's son, and the traditional love story ensued. Tianhai chose to remain in human form indefinitely in order to be with her beloved, even if it meant foregoing immortality. She married the prince and spent her human life with him. Tianhai died and was reborn as someone else, just as Avatar Yangchen had mastered the four elements. That fact, all of these events occurred 500 years ago, for following the gorgeous Yangchen came the lazy Karuk, the harsh Kyoshi, the volcano-devastated Roku, and the ice-frozen Aang. After learning of Tianhai's death, the general vowed vengeance on the city's residents. Yangchen and General Old Iron engaged in a furious struggle, and the latter was enraged. A couple of millennia apart is like a week-long quarrel for spirits. He had honestly waited for the woman to come to her senses and realize what kind of beings humans were. Instead, they put horns on him, misled his beloved, and turned her into a bag of bones, forcing him to explore the world for her reincarnation. The dude is genuinely pitiable. The Iron General knew he couldn't compete with the Avatar's strength, but he wanted to release his rage, at least on this city. After losing to the Avatar, he promised not to worry the people again as long as they avoided the devastated city and remembered Tianhai every year. As a symbol of their agreement, a life-size statue of Lady Tianhai in her spirit form was built. Her statue still sits on a rocky cliff by the sea, attracting visitors from across the region each year. Prior to the genocide, the air nomads attended the celebration to support their fellow tribeswoman Yangchen's decision. The mayor told me that people have seen a giant spirit face resembling the general among the clouds, staring gently and lovingly at the statue. And I completely agree with his words. Perhaps others lacked the awareness to detect his presence, but I remained on edge throughout the festival, ready to leap into action at any time. Only the air of serenity and generosity emanating from the monument helped to ease my anxiety. I'll go to these spirit-related festivals if I'm on equal footing with them. Until then, they're not for me. What are you doing here, dear? Has a whole year already passed? Said the old woman, the only resident of the devastated town of Taku and the only herbalist at the local school. She recommended Team Avatar to suck on a frozen frog, which may sound awful, but it's better than inflating it from your backside. They occupied themselves as best they could, and I simply watched. No, I'm just about to leave. I'll be back in about a year, I said calmly, but inside I was already on edge. I have heard this question more than 10 times today. And it's not over. The more you say, the more you'll have to repeat everything over and over. For the first few times, I tried to explain in depth my interest in herbalism, proposing to trade our field knowledge. After a while, she'd ask who I was as I finished explaining. Today, I have learned a lot about patience. My admiration for those who labor in such institutions, Jedi can't even compare to you. I received what I wanted. Information from my previous school, though I had to piece it together myself from her jumbled notes. Now I'm a little more knowledgeable. These notes conveyed what every Earth Kingdom resident already knows. Frozen frogs are suggested for treating a variety of diseases, and this information is widely known in every home. Such minor nuances indicate that you are one of them. Furthermore, there is no such thing as too much knowledge. It is not kept in my brain, but rather on a deeper level, closer to the spiritual element, and from there, as far as I understand, once anything enters without my knowledge, it never leaves. On blank papers, I scribbled down everything I learned from our capital's library and healers, hoping she'd come across them someday. While putting together the jigsaw, or rather connecting scattered facts, I came across messages from a variety of sources. For example, on one page, someone requested that someone inspect a building's roof, stating that it needed repairs and that they were unable to do so themselves. The date and name were displayed below. There weren't many of these unnoticed messages, but there were plenty. Apparently, people are still assisting her. The school grounds appear well kept, at least in comparison to Taku, which resembles the victim of a carpet bombing. The majority of the work left behind had already been completed. All I had to do was use earthbending to support the foundation, which had begun to sink, and push aside the previously collapsed houses that could damage the greenhouse. After that, I could depart with a clear conscience. I must remember to see her once a year. She instructed me to collect seeds from uncommon flora. When I look at the Great Divide Guide, I can't help but think of Yakubovich. He's a near-perfect replica. You want me to show you the habitats of canyon cockroaches? He questioned, staring at me like I was nuts. A map will suffice, I explained calmly, tightening the slipping strap of the bag containing newly prepared meals. I have 6 others just like it, each with the most aromatic meals to attract the insects. Kid, you're young, everything will work out for you. Come on, let's have some tea instead, he tried to reassure me, but I'm not attempting suicide. This canyon is the perfect spot to practice earthbending, especially with live opponents. If you want to take a walk, leave the food at my place, and I'll gladly show you around, he said. No, I need the food. These bugs can detect it from kilometers away, so I won't have to follow them. Oh well, I might as well demonstrate my powers once. After all, I am known throughout the Earth Kingdom as a highly formidable earthbender. What shall I do? I can accomplish a lot, but I need something big and flashy. There are a lot of rocks here. I can remove one. I take a stance I don't need, but it's for show. Hearing the roar behind me, Yakubovich, the guide, turned around. Lifting the boulder further higher, I carefully split it, followed by splitting the 2 smaller rocks again and again. Finally, I sent them falling down the canyon, leaving large craters in the rock. The guide watched my demonstration of earthbending with wide eyes the entire time. I think that's enough for a warm-up. Now, what were you saying? Let's go already, the guide murmured, coming out of his daze. It seems I've fallen behind the times. Are there many earthbenders as powerful as you in our kingdom? Inquired the guy with curiosity. Not, I just learned from the Badgermalies. Their standards are different, I said gently. I enjoy pretending to be otherworldly on sometimes, and many individuals have forgotten their first professors. By the way, I should pay them another visit. I am sure I will learn something new. Boomy's not all there either. Maybe all powerful benders have something wrong with their heads. Some kind of balance, karma, or whatever, I heard the guide whisper as he went forward. I stopped being the fool and thoroughly questioned him about the habitats of everything undesirable in this canyon. The next hour, I honed my earth platform riding skills, rolling toward the nearest cluster of canyon pests. They began approaching me 2 kilometers before I arrived. Oh, the horrors. I hope they breed more quickly, otherwise, the Fire Nation people would not have conquered the continent, they would have exterminated all humanity. Catch. I threw one of the bags to them, waiting for more of these critters to come around it. Then I dropped rocks on them, burying them beneath. Now let us try something else. I manipulated the soil to form a sphere around me with sharp spikes on the outside, my original technique, the stone tank. All that remains is to roll toward the enemy. You're pretty weak, I shook my head, disappointed. They were too hasty to finish and didn't even use bending. I hope there are more of these in the future place. This is much better. Take this slipper. And that is exactly what happened. A rock shaped like a slipper I made crushed an unsuspecting creature. The first creatures I encountered were from the youngest nest, so their numbers were few and their sizes were modest. This is the fourth nest, and they are smarter than their predecessors. I finally stopped at dusk because the sight of these inexplicable chimeras made me nauseous. There is no end to them. According to the book, there should only be 7 nests, but I've already disturbed 12, with the last one going too far underground. It appears like there are still many more down there. These cockroaches have not been touched in over a century, which they are glad for. According to the handbook, their numbers were previously kept in check. The rulers of adjacent cities arranged entire expeditions, and the most outstanding warriors were able to secure a comfortable position near the governor. Now, no one has time for it. This canyon is an excellent training area. Perhaps I will send the girls here to practice battling actual adversaries. One end of the canyon leads to the oldest Fire Nation colony, Udao, which is where I'm heading. I've never been there, but traders have told me stories about it. They say its standard of living will soon rival that of Ba Sing Se's middle ring, which is dominated by the rich middle class. The city still has inequity between Fire Nation residents and native people of these regions, but the situation is improving year after year thanks to the mayor, whose wife is an Earth Kingdom native. The city has traditionally been the most successful, thanks to Fire Nation technology that complements Earthbender talents. It is also open to trade from both sides, which boosts the economy. The variety of commerce, mixed architecture, and harmonious coexistence of two ostensibly hostile nations distinguish it from other towns. I'll be there just in time for the circus, where Tai Li will perform in the future. People in the colony aren't used to this kind of entertainment, yet this circus is still getting more popular. It's a little annoying that the Fire Nation is ahead of the curve here too. Circuses, theaters, and other shows have been widespread in the archipelagos for a long time. I never loved going to circuses, even when I was alive. As soon as I looked beyond the curtain of fun, I didn't want to support that kind of entertainment anymore, where animals are kept in cages. Katara's point of view from the Northern Water Tribe. I changed my hair again and again because I couldn't settle down. Today, we'll show how well we can waterbend, and depending on how well we do, we'll either become full-fledged waterbenders or stay apprentices. Naruto's reputation as a teacher hinges on how well we do, therefore I can't let him down. Sokka remarked, "Why are you worried? You know you'll pass this test easily." He was picking his nose. I need to be better than the others. Better than that know-it-all Yui. Everyone will be watching us. If we pass all the stages, we'll be the youngest waterbenders of the century, after Naruto, of course, I said, my voice getting louder as Sokka put his hands up in surrender. "Are you feeling better now?" Sokka inquired after I yelled. After taking a big breath, I realized I wasn't as frightened, especially because Naruto had taught us more than we needed to know. "Yes, thank you," I said to my brother. I said, "Let's go find Yui. She's a mess too. We should calm her down." Then I left the room. Sokka said, "I thought you'd want to gloat over her instead." He shook his head and said, "Sometimes I don't get you." I told her, "She's my best and only friend. No matter how harsh our words are, our friendship is stronger." "Mom's been gone a lot lately. Do you know why?" I inquired. "Yeah," Sokka said, attempting to sound serious. "Not because of something, but because of someone. I read about it in a book. When a girl gets a boyfriend," he grimaced at the word, "she starts acting differently. If I catch this guy, he's in trouble," he said. "I think it's great. Mom deserves to be happy too. I wonder what he's like," I replied, putting my hands on my face. I wanted to bring my angry brother back down to earth. "What are you going to do when you find out who he is? He's a grown man. You can't beat him, no matter how strong you are." Sokka said, "I don't know," after a long, awkward silence. "Wait, I've got it. Arnik taught me how to beat such enemies. If you can't defeat your rival, call your friends and take him down together." Naruto's father seems so serious, yet he teaches my brother such things. I'll just call Naruto. He can handle anyone, he bragged, as if he were the great bender. I see your point, I said. I don't want Mom to be with just any guy either. If he makes it through a conversation with Naruto, we'll know he's serious. At the same moment, Naruto and Yui I told my little sister, who was nervous and had let me sit on her lap and hug her, let me tell you a secret, you and Katara have long surpassed the other candidates in skill. I said, organizing a separate test for you would be too obvious, even for me, so you'll take it with everyone else. I teased Yui, you used to sit like this with me all the time. Now you're all grown up. I missed this, Yui muttered, covering her face. What? Sorry, I didn't hear you, I said, pretending not to hear her so she wouldn't get the wrong idea and take away my hugs. Never mind, she said hurriedly, moving on to a new topic. Since the people from the southern pole got here, you've had less time for me. You used to always take me with you. I'm glad they're here. They're all nice, but sometimes I miss how it was before. I messed up. I've been too focused on training, I said. I'll make it up to you, I replied, running my fingers over her soft hair. I could feel familiar Kai signs getting closer as we talked. Here they arrive. Naruto, you're here too. Katara and Sokka came in, happy. But Katara gave Yui jealous looks when she saw where she was sitting. Katara, come join us, I said, putting Yui on one knee and letting the other one go. Katara came over, looking a little embarrassed, while Sokka watched with a smirk. I asked him, Sokka, do you want to sit like this too? Don't be shy, that's not funny, I'm not a little girl, he said. I think you know what these two strong benders would do to you. Even though Arnik isn't a bender, he manages June quite fine. There are so many secrets on this planet. Sokka asked Naruto, have you noticed anything strange about Mom? And my heart skipped a beat. Did he learn about us? I think she has a boyfriend. I don't know who he is, but I already don't like him, he said, his voice regular. I prayed no one would hear me sigh with relief. I shook my head and said, I haven't seen anything. But what if this suitor is good, strong, kind, handsome, and caring? I said, backpedaling. I added, I mean, there are a lot of great guys up north, which made it worse. It's best to keep silent. Maybe, Sokka said, but it's a matter of honor. I'm the only man in the family, and I have to protect us. What if he's a con artist? When I find out who he is, and I'll expose him. Trust me, he said with intensity, making me sweat. Sokka, where is all this anger coming from? I love your mom. I've made up my mind. When you have a sibling, you'll be the last to know. You can't say anything after that. Evil inner laugh. Oh my, Sokka, you just revealed your enemy to everyone. Now I'll ask for your thoughts a lot to stay in the loop. There are a couple of guys who don't understand that Kya isn't interested. I might send Sokka after them. Naruto, will you help me look into him? With your power and authority, he'll be too scared to lie, Sokka said in a serious tone. What else could I do but nod my head in agreement? Thanks for making me feel better, Sokka. I see why Dad takes you around. You're a funny person. Time for the square. Everything's ready, I said as I stood up. The females didn't want to, but they slid off my knees. There are two parts to the certification. The first one checks your speed, power, and range of techniques. There are ice mannequins set up, and for 1 minute, the candidate has to assault and show off all of their skills. Most benders get through this stage. Most contestants are out after the second stage. You are fighting a waterbending master in a sparring bout. You have to last at least 3 minutes. The masters drop their skills to a basic bending level, but they have a lot of experience, a lot of techniques, and other things that make them very likely to win. If that were it, no one would pass, but even those who don't survive 3 minutes can pass if they show skills that are better than those of an apprentice. Yui and Katara met up with the other students at the square, and Sokka and I proceeded to see our parents. I guessed that a third of the candidates were girls, and their numbers will only go up. The celebration started with a statement by the chief and demonstrations by the masters. Naruto's archers joined them this year. The council elders thought it was funny to see my annoyed look, so they made it official. Honestly, adults are still mad at me for my pranks. Those punches did make council meetings a little more exciting, though. Surprisingly, everyone cleared the first stage, which doesn't happen very often. I realized why when I heard voices nearby. People don't want to work in the new greenhouses, which is where people who don't pass the first stage are put. People have gotten too used to eating seaweed anytime they want. They've started trying to cultivate other foods without my help. These greenhouses will feed our people, but right now they're mostly for growing new plants. Plants need sunlight, and even waterbending can't make up for that need. A third of the land is a lab, while the remainder is where edible mushrooms thrive. These mushrooms are growing quickly on their own. The first group of benders had the worst luck. They looked under the ice for good circumstances and made 6 passes, but none of them were good enough. I was in the Earth Kingdom then. When I got back, I showed them my old training ground, which matched well. Nobody even asked me why I dug it. My pals know not to ask me questions I don't want to answer. The second stage cut the number of candidates in half, which was a better result each year. The others will take it again next term. Boys want to show how strong they are, while girls want to show how tough they are. Everyone is working harder. In the last stage, Yui and Katara stood out because their fights were the most violent and damaging. The females fought back hard, while the other pupils barely defended themselves. This made the masters have to elevate their power level to that of a mid-level bender. I let myself have a little fun while everyone else was watching. Kya, who was seated next to me, was too tempting, and we hadn't had a chance to be alone that morning. I located her opening by sliding my hand under her long fur coat. It was a lot of fun to watch Kya hold back her moans. The crowd only made us want to be together more. Her hand slid into my pants, which felt good. Memories came rushing back. The back row of a movie theater, a boring movie, a girl who didn't care what others thought, you young and restless, and then a pandemic hit. I shook my head and focused on the present. Kya finished too, holding back until the fans clapped at the end of the fight. After the event, parents of young benders came up to me and asked if I could teach their kids. I have become too well known. It's not fun to stand up with an erection, but my big coat hides it. Kya knew that our acts may be seen and halted once we were done, and her hormones weren't clouding her judgment anymore. She won't get any mercy tonight. Katara, Yui, come here. I yelled to the girls, hoping that Yui would tell these pushy parents how awful I am and how I torment pupils to scare them off. These are my old students. Talk to them. Believe everything they say. They'll tell you everything, I sung as I walked among the other masters, who had set up a no-go zone around them. When they all get together, their presence is too overwhelming, therefore they stay away from people who are too insistent. 91 to 93 years after the air nomads were killed. Kyoshi Island has become my second home during the past 2 years. Unagi, the sea serpent, has gotten used to me coming by all the time and no longer fears coming up when I'm on the island. More than anyone else, Shizuka and Suki were excited for me to get there. I've become like a father figure to the younger one, someone who can spoil her and tell her off. Shizuka, the older one, didn't see anyone else as her companion anymore. She only showed her softer side to me, taking off her normal mask of sternness that had scared off other suitors. My threats probably had something to do with it too. Shizuka is a young and pretty woman, and although she has a child, many merchants from the Earth Kingdom still want to marry her. Shizuka's biggest desire was to travel the globe, but even a week without the greatest fighter in the community could be deadly. It wasn't hard to design dates that would stick in her mind forever once I knew what she wanted. But, as the saying goes, the first pancake is usually bumpy. It might not have been the finest choice to pick Chin the Conqueror's village as our first stop. Who would have thought that we would get there on Avatar Day, when the locals burn straw monuments of old avatars? I had to stop Shizuka from making a scene. Calm down, calm down. They can't do anything else, so they take it out on the mannequins, I said to her to try to calm her down. Let me go, I'll show them how to burn a statue of the great Kyoshi. Shizuka was still angry. Naruto, what a great date. You always know what's going on. Former soldiers from Shin's army started the community. They passed their animosity down to their offspring, who then repeated what their dads said. Xi Tong informed me the truth about what transpired. No one could have seen Avatar Kyoshi and Chin the Conqueror fight up close. The battlefield stretched for many kilometers. I'll say even more. The last Avatar was able to push Kyoshi into the Avatar state, which ended the fight. But the reason for their deaths is correct. They were both worn out after the hard fight. At the end, Kyoshi was able to force Chin away. She used her last bit of might in the Avatar state to separate her island from the continent. She never wanted him to die. Why would you want someone to die who was just doing their job? He brought together provinces that were spread out, got rid of corruption, and tracked down the Dao Fei. He might have been overly harsh, but it worked. And those who weren't famous started to feel a lot safer. She didn't have the strength to save Qin, who had fallen into a chasm because of a landslide, when she cut off her domain from the continent. That day, he was absolutely not lucky. His warriors took this moment. People here are mostly reasonable, however you should ignore this holiday and their court system. We could see the theater of the absurd at night. They use a trial to settle every little fight or disagreement here. It's best to get the angry Shizuka out of the town center for now. There are a lot of nice places near the village where we may hang out. Night. The amphitheater is close to the temple and the statue of Qin. The start wasn't too bad. The prosecution, who was the mayor himself, and the defendant, who was a guest who had spoken bad things about the holiday, each told their side of the story. The funniest part is that the mayor himself makes the ultimate call. It's plain to me whose side always wins. This is brutal, was all I could say as I watched the insanity unfold. The locals had suddenly lost their distinction of being sensible. This episode didn't appear so nasty and inhuman in the show. I knew that Avatar Kyoshi's time was incredibly violent and brutal, but punishing individuals by having them torn apart by a bear, roasted alive, or fed to sharks is just one of the many ways they could have died. Of course, the mayor decides what kinds of crimes deserve these kinds of punishments. He thinks that criticizing the holiday is one of these things. It's especially scary since the defendant is the one who turns the wheel of torture, which shows the several methods of torture. By the way, you're free if you can get through the penalty. Just a small note, no one has lived through their punishment so far. The punishment is decided. Get a cauldron of boiling oil ready. The mayor yelled, practically dancing, plainly enjoying the pain. I have been to this city previously, but it was in Roku's form. The people there seemed to be quite joyful and nice back then. So they were either pretending or being pushed to act that way so I wouldn't see the other side of them. I need to be more careful from now on. Naruto, Shizuka muttered, this can't go on. We need to stop them. Look at the rows over there, they've even brought children. She motioned quietly toward the distant rows. It was true that moms held their children securely, but they didn't want to limit their vision of what was going on. Parents who tried to conceal their child's eyes were quickly told off. What does the mayor want to accomplish by making even kids watch the torture? It is hard for most people to understand a psychopath. I murmured back, there are no waterbenders here. What should we do? Attack now. I don't see any serious warriors either. I want to punish them myself. Shizuka replied, taking out her fans. Where did she even put them? I didn't think they were there before. Weapons for women that aren't normal. Are they from the same line as bottomless handbags? Then let's go. I'll close off the area, I said. We can get rid of all the bad people in town at once because everyone is here. The ocean is close by, which is good. I started to slowly move water from the ocean closer to the amphitheater, spreading it out evenly in a circle. This way, I could quickly build an ice wall when the time was right. At the same time, Shizuka began to descend, saving the youngster who had been sentenced to punishment. The punishment is about to begin. Sit down right away, the mayor said in a high-pitched voice that made him look more like a rat. So much for having faith in physiognomy. Guards, arrest her. There will be another trial today, he said, his cheeks turning red and his pupils moving quickly. A sick man. The audience started to talk in low voices, but soon they stopped. Shizuka had knocked out 5 warriors and was getting closer to the main troublemaker. Why are you standing there? Grab her, you idiots, the rat man said in a crazy way. With one exact blow, Shizuka knocked out every opponent she encountered. So, the section of the people that was ready to fight, at least those who backed the mayor, lost without saying a word. This is for Kyoshi, for all the horrible things that happened. For the innocent, for your rat face. Shizuka hit the whimpering mayor with all her wrath. Some people tried to sneak away when they sensed trouble, but I question, where do you think you're going? While I built ice walls around the theater. Sir, ma'am, they made us all do this. It's not our fault. They sank to their knees and started telling stories right away. Don't believe them. They were all in on it. There is justice in the world. People yelled together. We couldn't go back to our designated cottage till dark. Shizuka wanted to punish everyone responsible, which led to hours of talking with people who knew the people who did it well. We calmed our bad spirits with local pastries while sitting beneath the moonlight. Or maybe it was just me, since Shizuka eagerly and vividly talked about other sites she wanted to go to. She stopped talking when she saw I wasn't responding, which gave me time to think. I mumbled, "Sorry," to break the stillness and saw Shizuka's confused gaze. I had to say, I didn't want the date to go this way. I thought I'd make it nice for you, but it didn't turn out that way. What's wrong? She leaned in closer. I liked it all. Sure, there were some bad times, but we did a good deed. Didn't you see how the villagers looked at us? They promised to stop celebrating that stupid holiday. It's as if you were determined to get it cancelled. I hope this little mishap won't stop you from taking me with you sometimes. She looked into my eyes, and it turned out even grown women can make Shrek cat eyes. I kissed the beautiful woman instead of answering. Does that mean yes? Shizuka inquired playfully, lying on top of me and tracing my chest with her finger. We somehow ended up on the bed during the kiss. I couldn't have done it any other way, I said, embracing her tightly. After a minute, Shizuka said, I thought you'd want to do more than just kiss. I said, your body itself whispered to me that it's still too early, because I had felt it too. Well, you felt it. I don't like those tones. How much experience does it take to know that right away? She said, jerking her body away in anger. I said that for no other reason. All right, charming mode is on. Only one, I said as I hugged Shizuka, who was weakly resisting. Only one beloved, who unlocks mystical feelings in me and lets me guess what your body wants. Okay, Mr. Smooth Talker, you win this time, Shizuka said with a smile as she turned back. We got ready for bed after talking for a while. I was already half asleep and half awake when I heard Shizuka mumble. Let's talk about the place ahead of time next time. I asked Shizuka, so you didn't like it after all? And she froze like a rabbit in front of a python. She believed I was already in bed. Super unnatural snoring sounds. Are you kidding? That's not even believable to kids. Okay, we'll plan where we're going ahead of time. Good night. As I concluded the statement, Shizuka immediately kissed my cheek and said good night. Observing another individual who is already immersed in their second or third dream while you remain awake due to their unconscious behaviors can be quite an intriguing experience. To ensure a comfortable sleep, I prioritize convenience by eliminating light sources, minimizing noise, and allowing ample space. Shizuka successfully disrupted two of these. She engages in sleep talking. One instance. Naruto, Yuki, Suki is requesting a sister. This is wonderful, and we will make it happen in the future. However, she is resting with her head on my neck. Do you sense the separation? Indeed, my ear is in close proximity. Are you aware of the discomfort that can arise from sleeping in a cuddled position? It appears to be exceptional. While it is undeniably romantic, it is also quite uncomfortable. The areas of contact between bodies begin to generate heat, resulting in discomfort and making it more challenging to fall asleep. Proceed with caution. Just a bit further. Completed. I carefully repositioned Shizuka to her designated side of the bed. Sleeping with Kaya was remarkably effortless. Her movements in sleep are limited to occasionally draping her leg over me. When circumstances require, I am capable of resting even on hard surfaces, as frequently occurs during my travels. I place great importance on obtaining a full night's sleep in bed. Oh, I expressed with a hint of discomfort. Shizuka had entwined herself around me once more. I will need to utilize the pillow and blanket to create a highly effective barrier. At this point, access is not possible. What activity am I engaged in during the late hours of the night? Please, come here. I embraced Shizuka, who successfully navigated the makeshift defense in just 5 minutes. I would like to revise my previous statement. There is indeed something unique about falling asleep in the embrace of a loved one. The conclusion of a 2-year time skip. Year 93 following the genocide of the air nomads. Kyoshi Island, located 2 kilometers from the settlement, features a picturesque meadow. Following a rejuvenating massage at the women's monastery, I promptly traveled to Kyoshi Island, where my presence was required. If anything were to happen to me, I would appreciate it if you could look after Suki, Shizuka stated with a bright tone, attempting to elevate her mood, although it was not proving to be very effective. Please refrain from expressing such concerns. Everything will turn out well. In your later years, you will look back on this moment with a sense of satisfaction. I attempted to reassure her. My presence ensures your safety. May I inquire about the whereabouts of Shizuka, who became Roku's formidable partner? Numerous provinces have classified ordinary fans as perilous cold weapons, all due to the actions of a single Kyoshi warrior. Our unfortunate circumstances dictate that each meeting beyond the island culminated in conflict and the administration of justice. I reached a stage where I would travel to our prospective destination ahead of time to assess the conditions, yet unforeseen circumstances consistently arose. There was an endless array of challenges, including pirates, Fire Nation warriors, bandits, and dangerous animals. I have come to a conclusion. If you intend to engage in conflict, it is advisable to have Shizuka accompany you. She tends to attract challenging situations. Fortunately, she is a highly skilled individual, and refining her abilities brings her great satisfaction. Throughout the past 2 years, Shizuka has consistently followed the training regimen outlined in the Path of the Body book. Today marked a significant moment in her journey towards unlocking her chakra. I have been on the island for 2 weeks, committed to being by her side during this critical time. The book did not address the possibility of safely interrupting the process, nor did it clarify if doing so might exacerbate the situation. However, I remain optimistic that the method I have refined over the past 2 years will prove effective. I was determined to retain Shizuka. She has occupied an excessive amount of space in my expansive heart. Shizuka exhibits excellence in every aspect, with the exception of one characteristic that consistently frustrates me: her remarkably stubborn disposition. For 2 years, I have made efforts to dissuade her from unlocking her chakra, even this morning, but it feels as though I am speaking to a brick wall. Initially, I considered employing a direct approach by revealing everything to Suki. However, after reflecting on the situation, I opted not to proceed with that course of action. It would only exacerbate the situation. The core principle of the method involves the intentional closure of the chakra. If Shizuka finds herself immobilized by her fears and unable to move forward, I will utilize my life energy to secure the partially opened door. I have developed several additional methods, however, they remain purely theoretical at this stage. It can be quite challenging when circumstances arise that are outside of your control. Very well, I will begin, Shizuka stated after a prolonged, fervent kiss that carried a sense of farewell, or perhaps that was merely my perception. Keep in mind that all you encounter is merely a shadow. Do not allow it to diminish your resolve, I remarked, gazing into her captivating chocolate-colored eyes. Upon fastening metal bracelets to her limbs, she commenced her training. These bracelets, resembling shackles, are crafted from the rarest meteorite iron. The metal is ideal for training purposes. I am uncertain how Sokka managed to wield his sword, as it appears to be quite heavy. Perhaps Piandao's training was more complex than it appeared at first glance. 3 hours. I have been observing Shizuka, whose attire is thoroughly soaked with perspiration. There are visible marks indicating chafing on the skin near the bracelets. I believe in your abilities, I stated, tightening my grip in determination. A moment ago, her gaze became unfocused, yet her body persisted in training on autopilot. I struck the ground in frustration, witnessing Shizuka's face twist in agony. That is all we required, I remarked, sensing Suki encroach upon my passive sensitivity zone while my focus remained solely on Shizuka. I had ceased to acknowledge my emotions, which could have alerted me to potential risks, but there are no risks at present. Naruto, we must assist Mom. She appears to be unwell, the girl said urgently as she hurried to her side. I requested that the warriors engage her throughout the entire day. She is currently undergoing a significant trial. It is important that we do not interrupt her, I said as I held the already tearful Suki in my arms. Please, there's no need for tears, I said as I worked to reassure her. I am present and ready to assist you. Should any situation arise, I will provide support without delay. Suki sniffled, her delicate nose wrinkling, and she ceased her efforts to resist. Are you being truthful? When have I ever been dishonest with you? I attempted to offer her a smile. We remained in anticipation for an additional 15 minutes. I attempted to maintain a composed demeanor, but it was proving difficult. My hands were trembling excessively. Shizuka exclaimed suddenly, dispelling the illusions that surrounded her. Suki, Naruto, I believe I have succeeded, she stated with a faint smile, before promptly collapsing to the ground. Suki was on her feet in less than a second. I was already beside her mother's body, placing my hand on her for a more thorough assessment. I realized I had been holding my breath due to the tension. She is perfectly fine, Suki. She simply requires a restful and restorative sleep. I informed the girl who had approached. What you have experienced, I remarked, noticing a strand of her hair had turned gray. Good evening. Shizuka's residence. I gently kissed Suki's forehead and wished her a restful night. She was positioned next to her mother, struggling to help her drift off to sleep. She intended to wait for Shizuka to awaken. I was unable to sleep this evening. The enhancement process of the body was not yet complete, and the resources required for its construction were depleting. If I did not channel my life energy into her, she would become as emaciated as I was after unlocking my first chakra. The following day. Shizuka's residence. Now, we will proceed to add some salt. I remain hopeful that this will result in an edible dish. I observed the soup, which presented an indeterminate color, with a degree of skepticism. Before providing it to a child, I should evaluate it myself. I adhered to the recipe, yet the outcome was unexpected. I have consistently struggled to prepare a flavorful soup. Let's proceed to the neighbor's residence for lunch. Naruto. Mother is awake, Suki exclaimed as she hurried over, taking my hand and guiding me toward the bedroom. Throughout the day, Shizuka remained with us continuously. It seemed as though she was apprehensive about losing us, frequently holding our hands or making physical contact. At this point, she needs to recognize that this chapter has concluded. However, I will not be providing any information regarding the subsequent chakras. This duration was sufficient. Shizuka made her return to us after a 2-day absence. The sole indication of her experience was a gray strand of hair, which did not detract from her appearance but rather contributed a distinctive element to her overall look. Having spent a week with Shizuka and Suki, and observing no issues arising from the unlocking of her chakra, I can proceed north with confidence. They have also been awaiting my return there. I have been away for nearly a month. I intended to depart today, however, I was requested to remain until tomorrow. Shizuka was occupied throughout the day, indicating that she is organizing a surprise for me that I will surely appreciate. What are your thoughts on this? Shizuka inquired, withdrawing her hands with a hint of shyness. They consistently attempted to conceal the most private areas. I am uncertain about the origins of stockings and various forms of erotic lingerie, but I would like to express my profound gratitude to their creator. I am truly impressed. Words failed to capture my astonishment, I remarked, regaining my composure. Is all of this intended for me? I inquired, moving closer to her while maintaining my gaze on her figure. Only for you, Shizuka said, turning her back to me, presenting a captivating view of her well-defined form. I aimed to secure it permanently, and I accomplished that goal. Some time passed, as Naruto and Shizuka finished making love to each other, and after that, Naruto decided to stay another day. The following day, Shizuka engaged in training with Naruto, who was assisting her in mastering her new abilities. Conclude. Extremely close. Shizuka's new attacks demonstrated increased speed and intensity. Her body has yet to fully adapt to the heightened speed and strength, yet in hand-to-hand combat, she demonstrates no inferiority to me. In terms of skill, she surpasses me. I tend to rely more on Kai. However, she remains unable to secure a victory. Through the application of neutral magic, I have enhanced all my physical attributes to a superior level. Hello, it appears you are utilizing Kai. We had an agreement to avoid that. She quickly realized what was occurring as she began to miss more strikes. I am not releasing Kai, it is all occurring within me. Furthermore, your attacks are more formidable, I stated as I swiftly closed the distance and delivered a firm tap to her backside. Where was such elastic material sourced from? Shizuka is wearing attire resembling short leggings, making the challenge of competing against her significantly more difficult. It encourages a transition of the conflict to an alternative arena. You mustn't yield. She intentionally wore them to extend your stay on the island. The results are evident. Individuals with limited bending abilities no longer pose a challenge to you. You are even capable of sparring with those of mid-level proficiency, and this is merely a week after you have unlocked your chakra. Upon achieving complete mastery of her body's capabilities, she will be equipped to manage mid-level benders as well. While it may not occur within a year, Shizuka will certainly surpass Piandao in strength in the future. Do you now comprehend the risks associated with unlocking chakras? I inquired following our sparring session. I would like to revisit this topic to ensure clarity. Shizuka expressed her exasperation with a roll of her eyes. Please refrain from worrying. I will not unlock more, nor will I permit Suki to do so. This has been addressed multiple times. Let us return home instead. Based on your expression, it seems you are inclined to act here, and I must ask, Whose responsibility is that? The leggings fit snugly around the most prominent areas. Flying is an extraordinary experience. I cannot envision my life without navigating the skies and appreciating the remarkable beauty of our world. My mood was impeccable, and even my diligent assistant, Xi Tong, could not diminish it. Spirit Fox, please inform your superior that I will be arriving shortly. I called out after an hour of flight, unable to endure her unblinking gaze any longer. In 2 months, I proposed, noting her lack of response. Understood, I will be at the library in 1 month. I acknowledge that it may not have been appropriate to overlook her for 2 years. I frequently observed her intentionally positioning herself within my line of sight, subtly dropping hints that were quite noticeable. I had intended to visit personally, however, understanding my tendencies, I realized I might become overly engaged, which was not feasible for me at this time. Initially, Kaya and Shizuka would engage in a thorough examination, followed by Yui and Katara, and to conclude, Arnik and Jun would participate as well. You mentioned that Xi Tong sent a letter. I assure you, I am not experiencing any delusions. The fox conveys messages through spiritual telepathy. Very well, let's proceed. I concurred with a hint of skepticism, perceiving an underlying issue. Upon catching the scroll, I regarded the grinning fox with heightened vigilance. What are you waiting for? I was interrupted as a higher order energy enveloped me, disrupting my Kai. Powerless, I anticipated an outcome that was certainly unfavorable. I anticipated this. One should never place their trust in a sly fox, I remarked to the amused spirit before experiencing a sensation of compression. Subsequently, I experienced a perplexing array of colors, akin to my body traversing a constricted passage. I traveled at near light speeds, which induced a strong urge to expel the contents of my stomach. Nevertheless, I expressed my frustration towards the essence of knowledge and its cunning associates. At this moment, the sound became amusingly distorted, reminiscent of speaking into a running fan. At times, I find it challenging to comprehend my own associative connections. My voice now conveyed a sense of urgency. I had just been ejected near the ceiling of Xi Tong's library. The floor remained 20 meters below. The shelves in this area were tall, resulting in elevated ceilings as well. Unfortunately, my Kai remained uncooperative. Xi Tong, I apologize for the oversight. I had every intention of attending. I assure you, I am committed to this matter. The prospect of falling from this height may not be fatal, but it would certainly be an unpleasant experience. You will eventually lose all your teeth, a large owl remarked as it intercepted me just before I reached the ground. Reserve your flattery for your companions, it holds no appeal for me. For 2 years, you have journeyed through the Shiwang Desert yet have not sought out the spirit who granted you a second chance at life. Is this your expression of gratitude, Naruto? The tone was composed, yet it sent a greater chill down my spine than any dark ancient spirit I had encountered. I apologize, but I have a profound appreciation for reading and acquiring new knowledge. It's truly captivating. I was concerned that I might become overwhelmed by the wealth of information present. I attempted to articulate under the intense scrutiny of the spirit's large black eyes. You are indeed speaking the truth, Xi Tong concluded, no longer resembling a coiled cobra poised to strike. I hold in high regard those who prioritize knowledge, yet I have a deeper respect for individuals who honor their commitments. Human nature can be unpredictable. Recently, an individual pledged not to exploit the library's knowledge but ultimately destroyed all records pertaining to the Fire Nation in the spirits Tui and La. Knowledge should serve the purpose of creation, not destruction. Consequently, I will exercise greater discretion regarding who I permit into my sanctuary, he stated. Exercise caution. This is the reason he eliminated all documentation regarding the moon and ocean spirits. They previously assisted your people in mastering waterbending. I trust you will safeguard them. I will not detain you for long. Once you depart with your knowledge intact, you are free to proceed. I was not anticipating this unexpected visit, which is why I did not bring my writings, I acknowledged, scratching my nose in a moment of embarrassment. Certainly, as long as it remains in your mind, he stated, flapping his wing as a fox unexpectedly emerged with a scroll in its mouth. I personally crafted this scroll. It requires no ink, only your thoughts. The text will manifest independently. I regret the excessive use of paper in my writing. Quite convenient, I attempted to sound more composed, concealing my genuine enthusiasm. My assistant will escort you to your previous room. Once you have finished,
Please refrain from leaving right away. We need to address an important matter, he stated, piquing my interest. Ancient spirits face timeless challenges, and while I may not yet be on his level, I remain open to listening.
Wang sends his regards and is looking forward to meeting you again. How is Wang doing? Is he alright? I inquired while Xi Tong continued to engage in conversation. What potential outcomes could arise for him? He possesses the intelligence to avoid provoking formidable spirits. That is satisfactory, I remarked. Had he not been present at that time, the situation would not have proceeded as seamlessly. Last question. How did you transport me? Is it possible for me to learn this? Will you be willing to teach me? My eyes brightened with curiosity, and even Xi Tong stepped back slightly from my fervor. This isn't something you can do, he asserted with conviction. Before I could feel let down, he went on, but you might achieve something even greater. Ancient spirits are ideas, and each of us possesses distinct talents. Especially since my theory was right. You already command 3 elements. Who knows what unexpected wonders lie ahead for you? He said enigmatically, clearly aware of something. I won't elaborate further. Time is wisdom. Begin inscribing the scroll, he remarked, already taking off into the sky. Now it's just the 2 of us, hehehe, I said with a sinister grin to the fox who had brought me here. Come here, let me pet you. Gently. Stop. I called out after the disappearing spirit. Hold on and see. I didn't expect this to be so challenging, I said quietly, placing the completed scroll aside. Initially, it appeared straightforward. Consider what you wish to express, and it materializes. However, the intricacies hold the key. The initial hours flew by, but as time went on, my thoughts began to wander. It became increasingly difficult to concentrate on a single task. My thoughts yearned for variety, for something different to engage with. However, Xi Tong confined me to the room. Everything was arranged perfectly for me to wrap things up swiftly. A toilet, a bath, a bed, and food that seemed to appear out of nowhere. I would give the room a 2-star rating, as the service was disappointing. The manager wouldn't allow me to leave. The effort was significant, probably just as the clever spirit had planned, so I'd like to wrap things up swiftly. I realize I have a broad range of knowledge, but it's mostly at a surface level. Place me in the Middle Ages, and I wouldn't uncover anything at all. Let me out. I'm finished. I called out into the emptiness. At last, I'm free. I dashed through the open door, inhaling the sweet scent of liberation. Even if it was a bit musty and grounded, I had faith in you, Naruto. Even I couldn't manage to express so much in just 3 days. Xi Tong emerged behind me as he always did. Was he making fun of me? If I weren't so generous, and if I didn't have a bit of fear, I would pluck his feathers. I have a feeling that I'll be more resilient down the line. Then we can share our thoughts, even if we're not entirely on the same wavelength. Enough with the laughter, he was the sole one chuckling, fortunately keeping it to himself. What can you tell me about the harmonic convergence? He inquired, motioning for me to come along. It's the clash of opposing forces, Rava and Vatu, occurring every 10 millennia when the celestial bodies align and the spirit portals at the poles link up. The victor governs the realm for the subsequent 10,000 years. The previous confrontation was claimed by the Spirit of Light, aided by Avatar Wan. I found this question unappealing. It felt too expansive, exactly. So, take a look at this. He gestured toward a wall showcasing a star system adorned with beautifully carved and painted planets. There was a countdown beneath them. 77 years and 9 months, it felt oddly familiar. So the countdown concludes in the 171st year following the Air Nomad genocide? Hold on, that doesn't seem accurate. In 79 years, will there be another harmonic convergence? I inquired, astonished, glancing at Xi Tong. Precisely. A significant encounter is on the horizon. Are we on the brink of a new world order? He asked, and I found myself puzzled. As a young spirit, I desired to uncover all there was to know about this world, particularly Rava and Vatu, who have always existed. After countless years of exploration, I can assert with certainty that the essence of darkness holds a significantly higher likelihood of triumph. Wonderful, Owl, please don't frighten me like that. I wish to enjoy a carefree life for another 300 years. Virtue triumphs over vice, I remarked innocently, but quickly felt my enthusiasm wane under the spirit's intense stare. Cough, what's the evidence? I inquired, calmly. A remarkable 70% of all spirits are dark, something I've never encountered before. This indicates that Vatu is becoming increasingly powerful. At this moment, he's restricted by a barrier set up by Wan, but when it fades away, Vatu will reclaim his complete strength. Rava has existed within human souls for 10 millennia, including avatars, who are unable to channel significant amounts of energy. The spirit of light still hasn't regained its power. It energizes the avatar, holds Vatu, and nurtures light spirits. Every bit of energy is utilized, leaving no reserves.
It's going down. I want to be part of the canon world. Why does it have to be so complicated? You wouldn't have initiated this if you didn't have a plan, correct? I inquired, feeling more at ease as I noticed Xi Tong's composure.
Their essence is marked by perpetual struggle. We must restore them to their rightful habitat. To prevent their conflicts from affecting humans and spirits, we could implement a barrier similar to the one that divides the human and spirit realms. The crucial aspect is to confine them while allowing their surplus energy to circulate freely to uphold harmony. He outlined his strategy. It sounds wonderful, but there are quite a few subtleties involved. How are we going to find that much energy? From other spirits and benders, of course. You need to establish yourself as the ultimate authority in the human realm, so when the moment arrives, you can rally all benders of the 4 elements, no matter their level of expertise.
Every ounce of energy will be crucial. As you construct the barrier, we spirits will shield you from the furious dark spirits, who will try to disrupt our efforts. They'll be significantly weakened by the barrier. He overwhelmed me with so many challenges. I was certain that my presence in this world had a purpose. There's always a significant issue at play. Typical. What impact will Vatu's triumph have on the human realm? I recall the transformation that occurs with light spirits. They alter their essence. Eventually, only the shadows will linger. The realms of humanity and spirit are intertwined. As time passes, his energy will seep into the human realm, slowly revealing your darker nature. Cruelty, cunning, selfishness, intensified immensely.
Chaos will follow. It's uncertain who will be more formidable. The insatiable dark spirits or humans willing to sacrifice countless lives for their desires. I'm in a tough spot right now. There's no turning back.
Or perhaps we could. You know, I motioned towards my neck. Ha ha ha. Xi Tong erupted in laughter. I wish I could unsee that. His head was tilted back at an unnatural angle, reminiscent of something out of a nightmare. The last time I laughed like this was ages ago, he said, wiping away tears with his wing before suddenly standing just inches from me. Even if we had the power to kill, I wouldn't allow it. It would lead to our downfall. Let me put it plainly. Our world consists of them. Each of us embodies light and dark, creation and destruction, harmony and chaos. To eliminate one would be a catastrophic mistake. Though, you might endure. Your neutral essence absorbs all energy, but would you truly find joy in a desolate world?
I can't say it would be ideal, I confessed, taking a careful step back. That's a bit too familiar, Tong. We're not in that kind of relationship. Please maintain some space. I've provided some things for you to ponder. When you're ready, come find me. We'll go over the specifics. But for now, it's time to leave. And this is for the 2 years I had to wait, he remarked, brushing against me with his claw. I experienced that well-known tightness again. Xi Tong. I exclaimed with frustration as I was pushed through the tube. Xi Tong directed me right to the spirit oasis. This time, the height was just right. I found myself a meter above the ground, but I won't let him off the hook for everything I've endured. Upon my departure from the oasis, I encountered a polar bear dog puppy eagerly awaiting my arrival. All right, I missed you as well, Balto, I said, attempting to nudge his head away from my face. He enjoys expressing his affection through licking. How are you growing so quickly? I thought I'd still be able to carry you around. Just not long ago, you were knee-high, and now you're already reaching my chest. Who's the good boy that recognized me so fast? I began to rub his belly, or rather, his enormous belly, which he eagerly presented. There was a time when I thought about breeding a polar bear dog hybrid in our tribe, but I never found the opportunity to pursue it. Half a year back, while heading to the capital, I encountered a pregnant female in a dire state. I couldn't simply walk by her. She sustained serious injuries, yet her belly remained untouched. Despite being unconscious, she instinctively protected it with her paws. Everything paid off. All of her pups came through unscathed. Thanks to my waterbending, she was back on her feet by the next day. Gaining her trust proved to be a challenge, particularly as her thoughts were entirely centered on safeguarding her unborn pups. However, staying the course brings rewards.
It took a whole month before she finally allowed me to be close to her. I gained her confidence by providing her with the most succulent, fresh meat. To be honest, nobody else was willing to go near her. She was seen as a natural adversary by the rest of the tribe's hunters. At least nobody attempted to discreetly remove her.
The remarks regarding her presence were confined to verbal expressions. Many believed that even walls strengthened by earthbending would be no match for a bear dog, yet she was determined to stay put. Perhaps on the initial day, she contemplated it, but upon seeing the complimentary food, she chose to give in. Perhaps she felt overwhelmed by the multitude of human scents surrounding her. It appeared to me that she viewed her enclosure as a means of safeguarding herself. As Nai's puppies made their debut, the first visitors began to arrive. The little pups were simply charming. Children could easily spend hours enjoying their playful behavior. Some children showed up even though their parents had forbidden them. Fortunately, I secured the enclosure properly while I was gone.
Otherwise, things could have gone awry. As time went by, individuals became familiar with coexisting alongside perilous creatures. Nai became accustomed to the presence of beings with two legs. The increasingly popular bear dogs captured the hearts of all. They adjusted to human presence more quickly than anyone else, likely because they had never experienced any other way of life. As time went on, it became evident that they exhibited more canine traits. Each day, they looked forward to the children's arrival, warmed by the gentle touches, and were so well adjusted, as if they had never known a life separated by barriers for ages. It was challenging to keep them contained, but it was wiser to err on the side of caution. I only took them out when I was there to oversee everything, until I felt sure about them. A surprising turn was how much they resembled Kakashi's Ninken. Balto, Nai's son, began to trail behind me, seeing me as his good friend.
Initially, I believed it was due to our regular interactions, but that wasn't the case. He didn't engage as much with others. One occurrence might just be a fluke, but when it happens 3 times, it starts to show a trend. Balto's 2 sisters took on the role of shadows for Katara and Yui. I find myself pondering whether Korra genuinely tamed Naga, or if it was Naga's own choice to remain by her side. Only a month and a half back, I allowed them to wander beyond the city limits, hoping Nai would find her way back to her previous existence, distant from humans. It felt good to realize I was mistaken about her. The following day, she made her way back to her enclosure independently. Recently, our bear dogs have been spending their days at the palace, eagerly anticipating the return of their owners. While the adults aren't quite ready to jump on board, the younger crowd is excited about them. I believe that hunters or greenhouse waterbenders will be next in line after us. Nai's example illustrates the incredible value of a bear dog. She has already rescued a group trapped in a fierce blizzard on their return journey. Okay, let's get started, I said as he nudged me toward the shore, our usual hangout spot. I believe I can set aside an hour for him. It's tough to ignore that beaten puppy look he gives me when I'm about to go. The first time I took off, he dashed through the whole city and swam for miles after me, believing I had truly abandoned him. I needed to go back and clarify everything. It didn't turn out as expected, but he hasn't pursued me since, even though his gaze reveals his discontent. Whenever I come back home after being away for a while, I spend the entire first week focused on my loved ones. In the initial days, I talked about my experiences and activities. Everyone's excited to hear about my adventures, but I hold back some details that the girls and Sokka aren't quite ready for yet. Just Arnik, Jun, and Kaya are privy to the entire tale. The women are relentless in their pursuit of every last detail from me. Arnik, out of obligation, must keep himself updated on the Fire Nation's actions and the happenings in the Earth Kingdom. He diligently takes notes and analyzes, as anything could unfold. The girls are slowly getting the hang of the new elements of waterbending. They frequently engage in sparring sessions with other benders, honing their skills. They possess a wealth of techniques already. Kaya and Jun chose to show their daughters the fundamentals of healing after they had sneaked out without permission. The mischievous ones attempted to shift the blame onto their younger companions, but a mother can always sense when her child is being dishonest. This will redirect their energy into a more productive outlet. Sokka still struggles to come to terms with the fact that we have bear dogs while he believes he doesn't, or so he thinks. The final puppy had already staked its claim when it relieved itself on his pants. Now, the little creature merely feigns disinterest, relishing Sokka's treats and the fun they share. Smart little one. If he's content, why alter anything? One day, we'll share the truth with Sokka, but today isn't that day. Next, I concentrate on my personal development, honing the skills I've already mastered, exploring new techniques, and preparing to unlock the next chakra. In my previous experiences, I never dedicated this level of effort to anything. My motivation has endured for 11 years here.
Perhaps I simply hadn't discovered my true path yet. Perhaps we, as reincarnated souls, have a few loose screws that leave us feeling a bit restless. I'll consider that at another time. The harmonic convergence is currently at the forefront of our focus. I completely align with the spirit's perspective. Existing in the presence of Vadu would be significantly more challenging than being under Rava. I would prefer if they resolved their matters in a different setting. I'm fully supportive of Xi Tong's plan, particularly because there's no use in trying to deceive him. The new directive from the Dark Spirit would merely obstruct his pursuit of knowledge. The Spirit of Knowledge possesses the power to unite all light spirits. I aspire to be a person of influence in these 77 years, someone whose words resonate with everyone. What a hassle. I imagined a life focused on my enjoyment, steering clear of the complexities of politics, surrounded by enticing figures, and delving into the art of flexibility. In the Northern Water Tribe, relationships hold great significance, and the Council operates with integrity. However, the Earth and Fire nations appear to be quite troubled places. Neutral territories are limited, so we'll set them aside.
The Fire and Earth nations are the remaining ones to consider. The Water tribes will support me regardless. With my skills, taking control wouldn't be difficult. I could discreetly remove anyone in my way. However, I wish to approach it with elegance, allowing wise individuals to lead on my behalf. I prefer to avoid engaging with things that don't appeal to me. It's wise to connect with the nation's prominent families, ensuring our goals align for mutual benefit. Absolutely, the Earth Kingdom is led by King Kui, who is essentially a puppet ruler under the influence of Long Feng, the leader of the Dai Li. Based on the show, it's clear that his character has some flaws.
Kind and empathetic individuals often find it difficult to attain positions of authority. Basically, he's a tyrant. I've encountered many similar figures in Konoha. His approach yielded results, yet he operates with a cold and cunning demeanor. Ultimately, he doesn't have a lovely daughter, so he's quite unfortunate. Kui doesn't fit neatly into any category, so I'll allow him to exist in his way. Upon my arrival in the bustling cities, I will turn my attention to the aristocrats. They possess significant influence and have a deep understanding of the local customs, having spent their entire lives here. I'm not very familiar with the Fire Nation. The soldiers I came across were primarily from colonies or held lower ranks, so their knowledge was quite limited. I need to experience it firsthand. It's far more valuable to see and feel it myself than to just listen to others talk about it endlessly. Another source is the canon, but relying solely on the show can be precarious. The world has proven to be unpredictable. The family of the Fire Lord is my main focus, particularly the women, Azula and Ursa.
They've never experienced genuine joy. Forget about Ozai. No need to stress, there's plenty of Naruto for everyone, heh. 77 years feels like an eternity. In my previous experiences, there's no need to hurry, many options are available.
Observe Roku. The influential are eager to connect with his heritage, disregarding where he comes from. A strong earthbender is likely to have talented offspring. Resources may deplete, loved ones may disappoint, but resilience will always stand by your side. It will assist you in emerging stronger than before.
The Fire Nation, genuine adversaries of humanity, particularly Sozin, who ignited the 100-Year War. How could he bring ruin to two air temples that housed women and girls? Let's get serious. Honestly, Aang is going to need to put in a lot of effort. I envision a world filled with airbenders. Perhaps when I reach the pinnacle of spirit rank, I'll unlock new elements.
Then I'll, grudgingly, accept the responsibility of bringing back the airbender population. Given my disposition, I'll need to put in even more effort. It's uncertain what element my child might possess. Creating air castles is incredibly soothing and motivating, particularly when you possess the ability to turn your dreams into reality. That's the peak experience. Naruto, you said you'd take us on a little adventure. I heard through the water. Training underwater is perfect. It activates more muscles and cultivates the body in a balanced way. Additionally, it's the quickest method to get ready for activating a new chakra. With the air bubble technique of waterbending, you can remain submerged for extended periods. I didn't forget, I said to Yui and Katara as I came out of the water. Tomorrow, Make sure to pack your warm clothes and some extra food. We're heading out to explore the Western Air Temple. Even better, why not have Kaya pack for you? She and Sokka will be joining us as well. I was met with a simultaneous groan of disappointment from the twins. The girls' desire to embrace their independence is strong, capable benders, unbound by the rules of their parents. What's with the long faces? I playfully flicked their noses. When you're older, I'll choose just you, and it will happen more frequently. You say that every year, my little sister complained with a frown. If you rush into adulthood, I won't have the chance to train or play with you like we do now, I remarked, pretending to ponder the idea. Why do we have to go on such risky journeys? Katara quickly retreated. Absolutely. There's so much time for us to explore the world, Yui concurred. How about we go have some fun with the bear dogs instead? Absolutely. Let's do this, I responded with enthusiasm. This is going to be hard to let go of. Before long, they will no longer be swayed by what I say. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I'm thrilled you watched the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for even more exciting content coming your way soon.